Good afternoon and welcome. I am Andrea Pinegar with the Nashville School District and welcome to our training on autism. So today I'm going to present you with some information that I have gathered in my research about how to best serve students with autism. I've got a little bit of information for you here, a little background information on autism. 1 in 48 children are diagnosed with autism spectrum disorder. This number has increased from 1 in 150 children in 2009. That is a big leap. The statistics just continue to grow. So we as educators are going to have to decide what we are going to do to serve these children. Autism is the fastest growing childhood disorder in the United States. And what does that mean for us as educators? Well, most of us are familiar with IDEA, the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act. This act mandates that all eligible children receive a free and appropriate public education. And most children with autism will enter the public school system. Why? Well, number one, because it's free. And as most of us can imagine, having a child with a disorder can be very costly, and it's a financial burden for some of these families. So having a free public education, most of the time that's what they're going to opt for. School districts are then required to meet the unique individual needs of students with autism. So, what are those needs? We as educators need to know what those needs are before we can decide on how we are going to serve these students and what kind of program that we are going to implement. Characteristics of students with autism. Not all students with autism have all of these. They have some, but these are characteristics that most of them will display. Students with autism often have language delays, or language develops slowly or not at all. Most students with autism can use words without attaching the usual meanings. They communicate with gestures and not words. Spends time alone rather than with others, less responsive to social cues such as eye contact or smiles, unusual reactions to physical sensations, maybe an overreaction to some sensory issues, maybe putting their hands over their ears, often for noises or lighting, very sensitive to some of those sensory items. Lack of spontaneous or imaginative play, does not imitate others. More characteristics of students with autism, does not initiate pretend play, may throw frequent tantrums for no apparent reason, may fixate on a single item, idea, or person. Some of you may know someone with autism who particularly likes trains, or they may be fixated on the wheel of a car and how it spins, things like that. May demonstrate a lack of common sense or safety skills, may show aggressive, violent, or self-injurious behavior, may resist being touched or held. Some parents of children with autism say that was maybe one of the first signs that they noticed about their young infant was that he was not a cuddler, he didn't want to be held. Covers ears at many sounds, it's one of those sensory things we talked about. Darts about, spins, walks on the toes, flaps hands, and so on. These unique characteristics leave teachers and administrators perplexed as to how to best serve these students. In IDEA, we are required to adequately meet those needs. So what are we going to do? That's the question that we have to answer. Studies show a lack of practical, research-based autism programming. Public schools and other public service providers report the need for autism programming that incorporates an appropriate curriculum and can be used in the public school setting. During my research, I learned that there's a need for programming that is research-based, that is practical for teachers to use in a public school classroom, and provides adequate training and support for the teachers. Some programs that I came across gave false claims of success, or they were just overinflated in marketing, or they weren't practical to use in the classroom. Teachers have to be able to implement these with little support. Often these programs are one-on-one, and so my research led me to look for what program can meet these needs. I came across a program that was recommended by the school district's behavior specialist. The program is called the STAR program. So what is the STAR program? Well, first, STAR stands for Strategies for Teaching Based on Autism Research. The STAR program uses 3 behavioral instructional strategies in combination with an appropriately matched curriculum. So you use behavior strategies and a curriculum. Teachers are provided with a detailed curriculum based on an individualized approach. So you get 3 teaching strategies, an appropriate curriculum that can be individualized to meet the children's needs, because we as educators know not everyone is on the same level and not every child learns the same way. One method of instruction is not going to work for all students. What are the 3 instructional strategies? Discrete trial training, pivotal response training, and functional routines training. So for those of you who have never heard of them, you're thinking, okay, what is that? Let me give you a little brief idea of what those are. We won't go into detail, but just a little brief overview. First, we're going to start with discrete trial training. In discrete trial training, skills are taught through discrete teaching trials that consist of trainer-provided antecedent, a response from the student, and a consequence that rewards for a correct response or marks an incorrect response. Discrete trial training has shown to help students with autism develop skills in naming and requesting objects, asking questions, initiating and maintaining conversations, describing items, and making social greetings. This training is conducted in a structured learning environment. That is one of the drawbacks of the discrete trial training, is that it is very structured and it is provided in a structured setting. So researchers ask, well, how does that learning generalized in other settings? Well, that is why the STAR program offers multiple methods of instruction. That is where the pivotal response training comes in, because it is a naturalistic approach. It is conducted in the natural settings. It is not teacher-initiated, it is child-initiated. It targets a small set of pivotal behaviors that will lead to the development of skills in other important areas. Pivotal behaviors include the ability to respond to cues, ability to self-regulate, and increased incidence of self-initiation. So those are the behaviors that will be targeted. Functional routines training is the third one. Routines are important to teach essential skills needed for independence through life. There are routines that students may learn in school, arriving at school, transitioning from classroom to classroom, transitioning to mealtime, breakfast, lunch, self-care routines, going to the restroom, washing their hands, free time routines, academic routines, and playground routines. And studies show, and teachers can attest to this too, students exhibit fewer behavior problems when involved in suitable and significant routines throughout the day. So if they're involved, you see less behavior problems. skills learned in discrete trial training and pivotal response training can be incorporated into the routines. So if some language skills are acquired in PRT or discrete trial training, those can be incorporated into the routines for maintenance. So those are the three strategies that are implemented in the STAR program. The methods used in the STAR program have been endorsed by several state and federal organizations. The Center for Disease Control, the National Institute of Mental Health, the National Institute of Child Health and Human Development, and the Surgeon General of the United States. So with those endorsements and with more than 50 years of research behind the methods that are in the STAR program, I would recommend that as an appropriate, comprehensive curriculum and program for public schools to adopt to help students with autism. Thank you.